Okay, so what we're going to do here is we're going to do a little tutorial on what is in the file we just downloaded from 960's website. This is the file I've downloaded. It's on my desktop. It's called Nathan Smith-960-grid system, etc. Nathan Smith is the author. So basically the file name is giving you the author, the 960 grid system, and then a version number here. So they are constantly changing and making updates to this, or Nathan is. And anyway, let's go ahead and double click to unzip that. And you can see that it creates a folder here. And let's go through the folder and I'll show you what all's in here and what you're actually going to need to use this grid system. They give you way more than you need. But this first folder here is app plugins. These are new, and I haven't had a chance to try these yet, but I'm sure that they're excellent, and they probably make life even easier for you as a coder. You've got plugins for Photoshop and Fireworks that'll build these grid systems into web page templates that you might want to be working on one of those applications. The next folder is the code folder. We're going to come back to this. This has actually got everything you need in it. We've got some licenses folder. This is open source. It's free, but it kind of says basically you can't go sell it and stuff like that. Sketch sheets, so if you want to print out a PDF file, if you want to get a pen and paper and start sketching away, you can certainly do that. And then it's got a templates folder, and there are templates for every major graphic design application in here. So if I want to go to Photoshop and open one of these PSD files and have my grid all set up and ready to go, so then once I create my design in Photoshop, I can bring it over and code it in HTML, and everything will line up, and the measurements will all be correct. So anyway, that's what's in the big folder here. The folder that you want to concentrate on that actually has the files you need is this one. It's the code folder. And more or less on the root level, you've got some HTML files that show you how to do things. There's a couple image files if you need to see one of the column grids. But mainly the CSS file. When you're going to use the grid system, basically I'll unzip this file when I download it, and I'll copy a couple files over from this, and that's it. That's really all you need. So when you download this, it gives you a ton of tools, a ton of stuff. You really don't need all of that. You need 3 CSS files. And let's real quick, I'm going to go ahead and open this CSS folder in TextMate so you can kind of see what all is in here. And it loves to open this drawer on the wrong side, so let's go ahead and redo that so it opens on the correct side. All right, so first of all, if you open this 960.css file, this is what's kind of known these days as a minified file. So you'll see there are no carriage returns in here. And the whole idea, see the body tag style kind of drifts right into these container 12 and container 16 classes. And this is really hard to read. But the whole idea is that if you get rid of the carriage returns, you make a little bit smaller file, which makes a faster download. That's really all that is. So if you want to kind of study these files, you can go to this uncompressed folder that's in here. And you can open that same file, the 960. And here it is with the carriage returns and notes and all that stuff. So you can kind of see how this is built. It really is not required that you go do this. It's just for those that are curious. I'm going to show you how to build this, and it actually is really quite easy. So what we're going to do here is I'm going to go ahead and close all this down. Let's create a new folder. Let's go back up to the desktop level here. I'm going to create a new folder, and we'll call this 960. And inside that folder, let's go ahead and drag and drop that onto TextMate so I can open it up. And what I'm going to do is create a document in here. Let's create an HTML file that we're going to write, and I'll just call this index.html. And I'm going to create a folder, and we'll go ahead and say new folder, and I'll call this folder CSS. And let's see, what we're going to need to do here is, let me go open another window here so we can see what we're doing here. Let's go to the desktop. I'll go back in. Okay, so this is what we've downloaded. So this is the 960 folder. I'm going to go into the code folder that's inside of that. Let me see both windows here. And we're going to go into the CSS folder here, and I'm going to grab 3 files. I'm not going to worry about the 24 column. It's kind of an optional thing they include. But these 3 files are these, and this is really important. 960, that's the main file that you're going to need to work all the magic here. Reset.css, which gets rid of some bugs for various browsers. And then there's an optional one, but I go ahead and include it when I start out anyway. This is text.css. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab all those, hold down my Option key, or the Alt key if you're on Windows, and I'm going to drag them over to the CSS folder I just created. So let me go ahead and close this down. So with all that stuff you've downloaded, the 3 things that you actually need to get this to work are these 3 files, 960, reset, and text.css. And that's really it. So if this is your first time downloading this, it can seem overwhelming with the amount of things that are in there and how do I get this rocking and use it and upload it with my website. But that's what you need in that CSS folder, those 3 files, 960.css, reset.css, and text.css. So let's go back over to TextMate here. I'm going to open my index file. Let's use Text Expander here. I'm going to go ahead and put my HTML5 framework in here. We'll give this a title. I'll call this 960 demo. And I'm going to show you how you're going to use this. The first thing we need to do is bring these style sheets into the header of the document. And just to show you, if you use this a lot, which I do as a framework, I often will sketch out ideas in this. I actually have created a text expander preset for this, which is ;960. And it puts them in there. But if you're doing it manually, let's go back through and I'll show you how to do that. We're going to need to link to, we'll use the link tag. We'll do the link and then we'll do href equals, in quotes, it's in the CSS folder that we created, /960.css, that's the first file. And then what we're going to do is the relationship is going to be equal to style sheet. And let's go ahead and self-close that. You don't have to, but I do because I'm inattentive about such things. And I need two more. I need another link tag with an href for CSS folder / guess what? Over here, reset.css. CSS. And then the rel is going to be equal to style sheet once again. And I'm going to go ahead and close that out. And let's do one more. Link href equals CSS / text /.css. And that rel is going to be equal to style sheet as well. I'll spell that right. And we are done. Now we are ready to start using the 960 system. So I'm going to go ahead and divide this again into its own movie. So go ahead and join us in the next one and we'll work on from here.